Bizarre Brain Comics.
Voyage to the bottom of the sea. Starring
Da, 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 da. Hello. Gary here for Bizarre Brain Comics. And as you saw there at the beginning, we have something to do with submarines. Therefore, I am wearing my ship's hat, USS Stonewall Jackson, SSBN 634, with the dolphins on there, and my shirt, my submarine warfare shirt with the dolphins on there, the Silent Service, because this time we're talking about Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. And relight my cigar. This is the book right here. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, number 7, from 1967. Hang on. Take a little look there. Take a little look into the big book of knowledge. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, number 7, 1967, from Gold Key Comics. And this one's titled Saga of the Undersea Island, with art by Alberto Gioliti. That's an Italian artist, and I hope I pronounce his name at least close enough. Unfortunately, there's no credits, and I couldn't find who actually wrote it. There's no credits. The only reason I know it's Alberto is because I know his art. And The Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea was a sci-fi TV series, science fiction TV series, from 1964 to 1968 on ABC, starring Richard Basehart and David Hedison. And it's based on the 1961 movie Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, written and directed by Irwin Allen, starring Walter Pidgeon, Cornell Wilde, and Barbara Eden, with Frankie Avalon. It even had Peter Lorre in it. And because the sets and models and props cost so much to produce, Allen wanted to get his money's worth by reusing them on a TV show. And it was his first TV series and longest running. And here that in 2020, Legendary Productions have announced they are working on a reboot, which is in development. Whether that's still going or not, we don't know. Whether it's a movie or a TV series, we still don't know. Sounds interesting. This was the show that got me interested in submarines. That and a novel called Up Periscope about submarine warfare in World War II. Again, comics is published by Gold Key Comics, and it's the comic tie-in, and ran quarterly issues from 64 to 70. It wasn't always right on schedule either. It was more sporadic, but it was listed as quarterly. And the first issue was a sequel to the pilot episode. After that, they had no other sequels. And if you've never seen Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea or the movie and are interested, they are, or at least some, are available on YouTube. I just finished rewatching the original movie just this morning. Like I said, I don't know if all the episodes are available, but some of them are. Many of them. So, let's join Admiral Nelson and Captain Crane and crew on the USOS Seaview in Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. And here you see the better image of that cover painting, that cover illustration, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, number 7. With this nice cover painting. I don't know who it was. Who did that? I don't think it was George Wilson. But there were so many Gold Key comics that had cover paintings, and at this time, this is something that they did with a lot of them. On the back cover, they reprinted the cover illustration without the cover logo, etc., as a pinup. I think that's nice. You get a better view of the painting itself. And in addition to that, I wanted to show you these little things here. Here are 2 Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea books, novels. And there was at least one other, as far as I have heard of, but I've never seen. And this paperback here by Theodore Sturgeon is a novelization of the original 1961 movie. And that's when it was originally printed. This particular copy is a reprint from 1963 or so, to coincide with the release of the new TV series. Hence, the using still photo from the TV show rather than from the movie. And then here, this is a Whitman book. They did a lot of these kind of books. There were TV tie-ins. They were, last time I had mentioned, talked about Big Little books, and they did some others. These are also illustrated. This is old, but not so illustrated like the Big Little books. Just the whole book had kind of like a half dozen illustrations, and it is a complete novel, although usually written just a little bit simpler than your adult novels. And these are for probably teenagers, tweens or teens, and they used to do a lot of them for various TV series. I have some Gunsmoke, Maverick, The Invaders. I even have a Star Trek one. So they did a whole bunch of those tie-in books. Okay, and now here, back to the comic, is, as I said, it's drawn by Alberto Gioliti. He is a wonderful, wonderful artist. He's Italian, and he did a lot of work for Gold Key, especially stuff that was, but not exclusively, stuff that was TV or movie tied in, such as Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. He did a lot of the Star Trek. He did some Gunsmoke. Others that I just can't think of off the top of my head right now. And he did, then one of the other titles he is best known for, besides Star Trek, of course, is probably Turok, Son of Stone, in which fighting dinosaurs and the like. And one of the reasons he was undoubtedly, and he did that King Kong adaptation that I showed you many months ago. And one of the reasons he was he did so many of these things is because of his magnificent draftsmanship and photorealistic artwork. So which ties so well to live action productions. Here we have start with a splash page, which represents an event in the story, but the story doesn't actually start there. Here we have the sea view. Captain, Admiral, and crew they're running a test on this new miniature super rocket powered ultra torpedo type thing, and they're in the out in the Aegean Sea or somewhere, and they have targets set up and they're testing them, and it did really well. Hit all the targets except for one. One kind of veered off course and smacked into what looks like some rock or clay or something like that. Cracked it. Said, "Oh, that's a pretty good test. Let's get back. It's going to be. Looks like it's more or less successful. Just 1 out of 7 may have had a fault. So overall, it's a good test." And then we see where the location where that torpedo hit. Oh, we see this webbed hand come crashing through the rock. And there's here's this weird aquatic looking fellow come swimming out of the hole while the sea view goes off into the depths. And this guy's saying he thinks it's invaders, and he is so concerned about his because there we see he is the ruler of this city of ancient people safe down here at the bottom of the sea. So he can't keep up and can't follow the submarine, but he goes to the surface and finds an old spots a fishing vessel, and he gets caught accidentally in their nets. He thinks they're trying to trap him specifically, but oh my gosh, they're horrified. What the heck is this? It's a man. He's a strange looking man, and he just rips the net to shreds. See, nice work on the netting and all these figures. What can you say? It's such wonderful figures. And then back into the sea he goes, but one of the crewmen managed to get pictures of him. And he shows the pictures, and they get through, eventually get to the admiral and say, "What is this?" And they say he's just ripped through the net barehanded. Tremendous strength. And this scientist here says he looks like the images of certain people that have been bodies that have occasionally washed up on shore over the centuries. And look at that face. Great character in that face, and the way he did the shading, the lighting, it's really nice. So they go back to the ship and they're going to go check it out. Now I notice here as I was rereading this, because see, Gioliti used a lot of, as you can probably see, used a lot of photo reference for the things and for his people. He had models, and sometimes he modeled himself, and had a whole file of photographs. Now, as I go through, I recognize a lot of these, the figures, just in different clothing, from some of his other projects, primarily Star Trek. So he reused them. And here they go. They're going, trying to the place where he was netted. They go right to that place, and then they figure out the currents and backtrack and take them, and it takes them right back to that target area. And there they see the guy swimming around. He's an aquatic man. See his cool scaled suit that he's wearing, and he's got flippers on his fins on his feet and webbed hands, and it kind of makes one think of the Submariner or Aquaman. And he's trying to elude the ship, and going through this little crevice where the ship can't go, so they get into the flying sub. And apparently, when Gioliti drew this, they didn't have appropriate photo reference for the flying sub, so he had to make up his own design, which isn't entirely far off, considering it's supposed to be flying. And he follows, and then they're able to follow him through that crack until it narrows even farther, and eventually the sub is damaged. Mini sub is damaged, and it careens down right onto that lava rock dome where the city is, crashes through, starts to flood it. Oh my gosh, the people are running in terror. They get to safety and shut a safety dome, and they're all safe. And the man is in there in the flooded area. They sees that Crane and Nelson are Admiral Nelson. That was my nickname in sub school, Admiral Nelson. Are unconscious. He gets some of his people. They get trained sharks, and they get the mini sub back out, the micro flying sub back out into the sea, and he's hauling it away. Meanwhile, back on the Seaview, the officers left in command, probably Commander Morton, he gets word that they have something on the sonar now. And I want to make a comment here on the backgrounds. Just like in Star Trek, I don't think Gioliti had too much photo reference for the interiors. But he was such a good draftsman and undoubtedly had real photographs of the interior of real ships, both Star Trek and here in Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, is able to mock up very realistic interiors of the ship, so that even though things may not be actually accurate, it has the appearance of accuracy. And I was on a submarine. This is not unlike what it looks like. Okay, so there they see this aquatic man hauling the flying sub, and they get some divers out on a sea sled, and they net the fellow, get the admiral and the captain back on board, and have captured the aquatic man who we know now is named Nautica, but they have him chained up, and he able to break that chain like nothing. And of course, then right in the middle we have another science fiction story. This one's about deep space, though, and then I want to cover that one. And different writer, different artist, or different artist anyway. It might be the same writer for all I know. And then here's part 2, and Nautica is going crazy, just throwing people around like they were rag dolls. And here's another figure I've seen several times in Star Trek, on the Star Trek comic. Except this time, it looks like Captain Crane, which he shoots the aquatic man Nautica with a tranquilizer. There's great figures and more. Again, the great backgrounds and even the detail in that gun. I have to wonder if he had actual photo reference, or for kind of a dart gun like that, or if he just made it up. Because made it up, and he's just so good, it looks realistic. So here they pull into a port here. Another great scene here. You can see the fishing boat, the sailor sitting on the bollard there, smoking on his pipe. Yeah, it looks very realistic. And there's the professor there, and somehow magically he's able to speak English with these guys. And he tells them, he said he won't run off, and he gives the background of the story, that they were on a little peninsula, and there was this volcano, and it was erupting occasionally and threatened his city. And so their vast engineers come up with a plan, and they built this dome that could be placed over the city when it was threatened by the volcano. Yeah, I know that's not very realistic for thousands of years ago, but who cares? The great detail in this, both the dynamism of the erupting volcano, the realism of that windlass that they're using there, the costumes, the background of the city, and they're fine. Now, finally, there was a huge eruption, and a wave of molten lava covered the entire city and the dome. And that little spit of the peninsula cracked off into the sea, but instead of sinking, it floated out to sea, and then eventually sank, with the people still snug and safe inside, because when that when that volcanic lava dome covered them, left them an air bubble, and they sank to the bottom where they were able to survive, make air and the like, and how he was eventually, while being the leader, he and his people were eventually bred to survive better in the out in the water and to protect the city of otherwise normal people. And he could not, unlike it might seem, he could not actually breathe water. He had small filters in his nostril that membranes that allowed him to which separated the oxygen from the water so he could breathe. I know it's not really realistically very plausible, but it's a good story device. And hey, I think the science is probably better here than in the TV show. The almost all of Irwin Allen's science fiction productions had, I mean, they're great, fun adventure stories, but had really terrible science. Very naive. Anyway, he's kind of going crazy here. He's having difficulty breathing, and he rushes away from the people and down to the docks and back into the water. So they head out after him because that volcano has been rumbling again lately, and this is an underwater volcano. It's a different volcano, and they want to save him because his life is threatened, and now they want to save the city if they can. So Crane and the Admiral are about to go out when the volcano begins to erupt. So, oh no, what are we going to do? And while they're being swept around by the torrents of the water, the currents from this erupting volcano, a very dramatic representation of the erupting volcano in the water there, and then the seafloor cracks and the water rushes in. Boy, this would create one hell of a tsunami though on the mainland. And how they're trying to keep away, and it loosens that bit of rock that the city had been is founded on under the dome, and as it floats back up to the surface, it surfaces and the dome cracks and disintegrates, and the whole city is inundated by the sea. And everyone in the city is being destroyed, and there is Nautica, very forlorn because he is going to be the last of his people. He stands there as the city begins to sink again. The Seaview crew are out there trying to save him, and he just waves them away, and he stands there as the city returns to the depths of the sea to die with his people. That's kind of sad, but it was a good adventure story. It had the kind of stuff that they really could not do on the show, but it's a lot of fun, and playing fast and loose with the science. And it's science fiction, and it was intended for kids to read. But it's fun and realistic within the contents of the universe that they existed. I have 2 or 3 other issues of Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea somewhere, and they're all very good, a lot of fun. I don't know who wrote it. I think it's a well-crafted story. You get to know a little bit of the background of this aquatic character, probably more than you see of the main characters, just because they're the main characters. You see them more often, and you know them from the TV show. So, and then the conclusion, they were unable to save the city or Nautica, and they all died. So it is a sad ending. It's a fun read, kind of thrilling, and I really enjoy it. I hope you do too. So please like, share, and subscribe. Please share it with other nostalgia buffs, other maybe you know someone who was a submariner, and that's submariner, who served on a submarine. They might appreciate seeing it, or just have an interest in these kind of things, in the military comics and the like. So that's all I've got. Thank you very much, and remember, comics are art.